what if had elements of a what if that was a what if because of the what if it was what if again. What ifception. What's up everybody, StevDeS here. After this video reached 1,000 views, the first one on my channel to get 1,000 views, I think I want to do better with it. Don't get me wrong, I'm blown away with the reception that What If Vegeta Was Born Female got on my channel, especially considering I did something a little different than Mondo Cool did in his series of videos. But this series was inspired by Masako X over on the Masako X channel. At the time, I loved Masako's series on What If Goku Was Female, and that just made me think more. Up until Masako's next What If creation at the time, I didn't really want to go into what-ifery. In this video right here, he kind of mentioned that he encouraged everyone to come up with their own what-ifs in the community, and how fun it is to talk about this sort of stuff, being nerds who absolutely love Dragon Ball. Now at the time, I said that this channel would go back to Let's Plays and stuff like that eventually, but I needed a little bit of time to kind of get away from that. I still have a lot that I'm doing after all. So, that being said, let's go ahead and get on with the redux of What If Vegeta Was Born Female, Part 1. Now before we get into it, I need to address a few things. With a Vegeta that's just starting out and it's gonna take 5 years for Planet Vegeta to go bye-bye, we got a lot of ground to cover. So, how would life be different for Vegeta on Planet Vegeta if he was a girl? Well, he would get a lot less rights because it's a male-based monarchy. StevDeS, how dare you! You're going up against sexism! This is a sexist video! You're going up against the women and you're being feminist! Or not feminist, you're being anti-feminist, you're being a jerk. Oh my god, this is just sexist. Flag the video! Flag the video, take it off YouTube! Give me a break here, alright? Let me explain. I've come up with 3 main things that loosely say exactly how the Saiyans were, and what supports this theory. Number 1, this guy, King Vegeta. The only people this guy bows to is the god of destruction and Frieza. If you're not either of those, he doesn't care what your opinion is. Not to mention, we haven't really gotten confirmation as far as a Saiyan Queen is concerned. As far as Akira Toriyama is concerned, at this point there is no Saiyan Queen. So all of the power in this monarchy belongs to King Vegeta. Number 2, the commoners. When we were first introduced to a female Saiyan, as far as the Broly movie and Dragon Ball Minus is concerned, we got Gine. It made sense. We were led to believe that Gine's low power level is the reason why she was a cook. She was feeding all the warriors when they came home, especially her husband Bardock, and naturally, that's just where women belonged. Now, something to support this point is what Saiyans do with babies. They have incubation pods, but someone needs to be around to watch these incubation pods. And what I noticed in the beginning of the Super Broly movie is a majority of the Saiyans returning to the planet were in fact male. So when it comes down to this, it's a safe assumption that ladies needed to stay planet-side as far as the commoners were concerned in order to protect the children that they'll eventually send off to annihilate planets in the name of Lord Frieza. Also, when it comes down to it, all the baby makers need to be on the planet. If babies are a chief export among Planet Vegeta, you're gonna need the baby makers to be sure the incubating babies are taken care of. This is where Gine shines, because it's not just a matter of being a cook for the warriors, it's a matter of defending Kakarot as well. He's going to be a Saiyan warrior just like his father when he grows up in Gine's eyes. So, naturally, that's where women have the strongest role, making sure the kids grow up and train so they'll be of use to Planet Vegeta. And any woman that's planet-side has a power level regardless of how weak it is. They could still defend the planet as their own militia. When it comes down to the common folk, as a militia, as baby makers, and as baby raisers, women need to be planet side. For the most part. Point 3, the Frieza forces. I know it's outdated because of the Broly movie, but considering the Bardock special is what it is, it did give us an idea as far as what to expect out of Frieza's forces. Let's look at Bardock's 5 Saiyan team for a second. There's Salipa, who's female. Then we got Bardock, male. Tatapo, male. Pumbukin, male. Toma, male. You see where I'm going with this? That's what we can glean from this, is that a lot of Frieza's forces have males, or at least tough-looking guy-like figures, I'm looking at you, Dodoria, that lead his forces. A bunch of strong men, no strong women. I wonder what that says about Frieza. He is evil, right? Feminists, do something with that. So as far as the command structure of the Frieza forces, the commoner's role in the society of Planet Vegeta, and King Vegeta's role as monarch is concerned, let's get into what if Vegeta was born female. Now, in the first time I did this part, I mentioned that the order was more than likely anyone with a power level of 2000 and above needs to go back to Planet Vegeta so that they can be destroyed. However, the Super Broly movie makes this so much simpler, and every available Saiyan unit out there was brought to the planet. We head back to age 732, where the heir to the Saiyan throne has just been born, and King Vegeta and Queen Kasaba are both proud and kinda nervous about this. It is a girl. Well, this can't do, honey. I guess we're gonna have to do it again. However, with nobody in her way, Princess Vegeta ends up taking to the idea that she might be queen. The first Saiyan queen to adopt the power of her father unto her and name one lucky Saiyan one day King Vegeta. She wouldn't do that. She wants the power. However, she is looking forward to this from birth. And as soon as she's out of the incubation pod, roughly at about 3 years old, she starts training herself to be tougher than anything. Now, if there's one thing that was established before the Super Broly movie, it was Vegeta seeing his father cower before the god of destruction, Lord Beerus. This scene would still happen, and Princess Vegeta wouldn't just try to be a strong ruler at this point. She wants to be the strongest Saiyan there is one day. So, at 3 years old, she's throwing wild punches and kicks with absolutely no sort of control behind it because nobody's really training her. That being said, it won't take long before this training is interrupted, and King Vegeta was enjoying watching it for a bit, but he's also enjoying seeing the family's ship come into view. It's now making a landing on the planet. Vegeta and King Vegeta both head out to meet Queen Kasaba, but following Queen Kasaba are a couple of low-class warriors and an incubation pod that has a boy in it. A boy heir to the throne. Uh-oh, Vegeta. Oh no, Vegeta. You just got dethroned. Vegeta starts getting angry at this revelation. Her power level fluctuates. She's starting to get angrier and angrier, and little kid Vegeta lets off a powerful Gallic gun, all boom throughout the sky, a large pillar of light of pure anger and frustration. And the scouters go off on their heads. This was a power level of 10,000 being shot into the air. A 3-year-old child. 10,000. That's a shock. Vegeta has roughly 6 months from age 735 in order to properly get acquainted with training and going out and being part of the Frieza forces. King Vegeta knows that Vegeta will be valuable to Lord Frieza and will give us some credit over here on Planet Vegeta. Whenever she can, she does pick on her little brother. While he's in the incubation pod, she always flicks the glass, taps it, trying to bother him. It's just a constant torment. And during the short time she sees him outside his incubation pod, she's still bullying him. Pushing him over, punching him in the shoulder, heck, even throwing him against a wall or two. Vegeta is just that kind of person. If she feels threatened by anything, then she'll show dominance in the situation. Ergo, whenever Tarble's around. Because Tarble is now Prince Tarble. Tarble says goodbye to his sister, and his sister says good riddance to him. At age 737, the planet is destroyed. But before it gets destroyed, Frieza's ships are seen above the atmosphere. And Queen Kasaba is not very happy with this thought. She wakes Tarble up from his slumber, takes him to the escape pods in their foyer room, but unfortunately, they're not there. 2 of them are missing. There's only one pod. Doing the responsible thing, Queen Kasaba puts little Tarble into the pod and sets up the coordinates to where Vegeta is. Tarble's confused. He doesn't understand why his mother is putting him in a pod and not joining him. What's going on? Why is she doing this? Queen Kasaba looks at him as the pod closes and tells him to be a responsible ruler, find his sister, and stay near her. Whatever you do, don't come back here. By the time you leave, this planet will not be here anymore. Queen Kasaba doesn't know this for sure, but any planet that Frieza's deciding to just hover over like that probably isn't going to be safe to the Saiyan heir. And she needs to be sure that Tarble does not come back. And that is when Queen Kasaba launches the pod and it gets sent up into space. Tarble is banging on the glass, but again, he's not trained as much as Vegeta. His power level is much weaker at birth than Vegeta's is. So he's not doing anything to the pod by doing this. He's just kind of having a tantrum because he doesn't want to see his mother go. But the pod gets further and further away from Planet Vegeta, and the last thing he sees is a big red glowing ball engulfing the planet. And that's where Tarble falls asleep, crying. He just saw not only the extinction of his race, but the death of his own mother. It's going to weigh on the child for some time to come. A short week later, Tarble lands on the planet where Vegeta is training against several Cybermen. After asking around, he finally gets some help from a disgruntled old guard.
Yeah, kid, you go this way, and then you take a left, and then you take a left, then you take another left, and then you take another left, and then you go straight. Now don't talk to me.
These guards don't seem very impressed about Saiyan royalty. Eventually, Tarble does find the training station where Vegeta is training against the Cybermen, and he sees a familiar face, Nappa, waiting outside.
Heh, so it's finally your turn to do some training, just like your big sister.
Hi, Mr. Nappa. Where's Vegeta? I have to tell her something. Something bad happened.
That's where Nappa lets him know that he already knows Planet Vegeta was destroyed. It happened about a week ago. The kid doesn't understand this. He was asleep for a week? Wow, that pod technology is amazing. He needs to really study up on that. Regardless though, Tarble waits for Vegeta to come out. Once he does, he immediately rushes to his sister and grabs her arm, shaking her, saying, "Oh my god, it's terrible, Vegeta. This is awful, and Planet Vegeta is blown up, and I don't know, Mom died and everything." And Vegeta is absolutely beside herself. She absolutely hates seeing the thought of the Saiyan race, a sniveling, whining little mess in front of her. This is a disgrace. So quickly, Vegeta taps his arms away, gives him a good right hook, grabs his shirt, and pulls him back.
What kind of lies are you telling me, brother?
Planet Vegeta was destroyed by a giant fireball of
It's all gone.
You're lying to me. The Saiyan race is too glorious for some stupid rock to destroy everyone like that.
Throwing him onto the ground, she glares at him and starts berating him until Nappa intervenes.
Actually, Vegeta, he's kind of right.
What are you talking about, Nappa?
Reports came in, and apparently our planet was destroyed about a week ago. I needed to wait for the right time, but, you know, the kid's here. Yeah. But the good news is we're going to Dairy Queen!
So, Nappa's ecstatic about having the prince and the princess to train with. And it's not long before Raditz regroups with them, as he's been part of their unit already. Over time, Tarble learns a lot about space travel, wanting to learn more about the pods as well as the scouters that everybody wears. This of course means he's part of less missions, but his power level is at least over Raditz in this situation. Even though Raditz gets more missions, they're not as dangerous as Nappa and Vegeta's missions. He's more technologically savvy, he's more of a navigator, and he's got a lot more of the tactical knowledge in his head. With this, he becomes the tech guy of the group. It isn't until some time later that Tarble overhears a mission that Raditz is suggesting to Vegeta and Nappa about going to go get his little brother Kakarot to join the fold.
We could have 5 Saiyans instead of just us. This could be amazing. I mean, you already have your brother. Why can't I go get my brother?
But Tarble overhears this, and being left out of certain missions he wanted to go on, don't get me wrong, he's more gentle than Vegeta, but he's still a Saiyan. That Saiyan pride's still in him. He decides to step forward in order to try to amend himself to the mission. Vegeta's thinking this over, but then Tarble approaches and states that he wants to go with Raditz to go save Kakarot from this planet. He's only a baby at 2 for a power level. He couldn't have gotten that much more powerful, so he wants to see Kakarot for himself. And besides, sister, don't you think Raditz might screw this up a little bit? Being thrown under the bus makes Raditz kinda angry, and he gives him a good punch in the shoulder. Ow, Raditz! But that's something you don't do in front of Vegeta. In any way, shape, or form, do not hurt Vegeta's family. Regardless of how much the Prince of All Saiyans pisses her off, it's still her brother. And so Raditz immediately regrets it when he takes a kick that sends him through a wall. Of course, this just gives Vegeta more of a reason to send Tarble with Raditz. Raditz can do a little babysitting while she's off doing harder missions with Nappa in order to properly gauge any sort of power they might find on Earth. And naturally, for that little quip and having to make her hit Raditz, I think a suitable punishment would be for him to babysit the teenage Saiyan. And so, with that in mind, we'll start off the Saiyan saga with Tarble and Raditz going to Earth to go get Kakarot. And that is where we're leaving part 1 of this retelling. So what do you all think? How do you think the Saiyan sagas... Wait. I already know how. Part 2 and 3 are already here. So go ahead and click on those annotations if you're curious as to what happens with Raditz and Tarble in the Saiyan saga, and on Earth. For more what-ifs in the realm of video gaming and Dragon Ball alike, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Oh, before I go, vote in that poll up there. I want to know if you think this one's better than the last one I did, or if you think the last one I did was way better than this one. I know I left out a certain number of jokes, but my goal was to get the time lower. Like if you enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!